Hey, and welcome to the Office Field Guide. My name's Chris, and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office ever, and today we're looking at the Michael Scott Paper Company episode.
I would like to invite you all to come along with me on a journey.
The Michael Scott Paper Company was written by Justin Spitzer and directed by Gene Stupnitsky. This one first aired on April 9th, 2009. As I said last week, they sandwiched The Office around the Parks and Rec premiere in order to boost their ratings. It seems like the Parks premiere ended up boosting the viewership of this episode though, as it was up 3/4 million people through the night, landing with 7.94 million people watching the tale of Michael Scott Paper Company's first sale. It currently has 8.7 out of 10 on IMDb. I don't really get why people rate things on IMDb the way they do, but the people have spoken. But we're gonna get more into the ratings and stuff in the season 5 wrap up. So your Michael Scott Paper Company trivia is, what show was Toby talking about on the toilet?
It's so good. Now you gotta tune in. It's as good as anything on HBO.
Answer the trivia first, spot out the Easter egg, and or leave the best emoji sequence summing up next week's episode, and you'll get your name in that field guide. So much to talk about in this episode, and I'm running super late on getting this episode out. So today, we're gonna talk about rundowns. We're gonna talk about the worst thing Toby ever did on screen, and like always, we're gonna get down to the deeper meaning. And be warned, there may be spoilers for the series ahead, so with that, let's get to hustling. Hustling. Yeah, that sounded cool. No, it didn't.
I understand nothing.
Okay, so this episode explores job roles and expectations. For instance, Michael asserts that he can't make copies himself because he's the boss. So he acknowledges that this task is below him and has the expectation that someone who reports to him will do that task. Pam's reluctant because she doesn't want to become a copy maker, which would put her right back to square one.
I make that one copy, and I become the girl who makes copies. And by the end of the day, I'm receptionist again.
And Ryan is, well, I could spend all day talking about what Ryan is.
I wish my iPod could make phone calls. No, I don't want an iPhone. I know what an iPhone is.
There is something real and human about this episode. As we discussed the deeper meaning and Dream Team, it is the people that we have in our corner that matters and help us get through things that are tough and also to succeed. The same Dream Team is now confined to a 16x10 room, and they're driving each other crazy. Pettiness all around.
Hey, I have some stuff to do.
You know, Pam, you don't have to start every sentence with, hey.
What?
It's a small office. We'll all hear you, even if you're not leaping out from behind a daisy.
Trying to secretly refer to your coworkers during private calls.
You'd probably be a 6 in New York, which is like a 7 here in Scranton.
R thinks he's too good to be here, and P is not as much fun without Jim.
And dealing with complications of a poor workspace. And this is all very real to me, as that exact same pipe is literally running right there. So anytime one of the 5 people who live in my house flush a toilet, I have to stop filming and just stare at the camera. And the water heater is about 4 feet away from where the camera is right now, and it's just thinly separated by a small sheet of drywall and a little blanket fortress I have set up right here to dampen the sound. But this isn't just where I film, it's where I work too. So I feel every moment of this.
For a small company, that is real. I don't know what to do about.
When I'm in the midst of a creative string of thoughts and I can really get down to some work, and then all of a sudden the furnace kicks on. And I just lose my train of thought. It's fine, I get used to the noise then, and then get back to work. But then it turns off, and the silence can be even more maddening than the furnace itself. And companies know this, right? I watched my office transform from a cubicle farm to an open environment, much like the bullpen in the office, just on a bigger scale. But along with an open office environment comes with some psychological effects of humans knowing that they're potentially being watched. One of the side effects of an open environment is that people don't want to talk or make noise. And this is gonna sound like I'm making this up, but one of the things that they do to encourage talking in an open office environment is white noise through the speaker system. It sounds like this. Okay. with the theory being that if there's a certain decibel level playing constantly, people won't feel as self-conscious to speak up to their neighbor or make some noise. So all of that just to say, there is a lot of thought and planning that goes into designing a workspace, and not just anyone can do it.
Any order that you place today.
But as I fear, I'm going to go off on a lot of tangents in this episode. I was talking about expectations. Michael expects his coworkers not to be petty and do their job.
How many drugs do you think Pfizer sold on the first day? Probably not many. That's where we are.
Charles, on the other hand, his expectations are kind of interesting. I've had a few comments about Charles not being a bad guy, and most of the sources of tension here are due to our beloved character's weirdness, and Charles is just herding cats. Which I get, and I think I said as much in the new boss episode. That's why I keep using the phrase cracks in his facade to describe these things. Charles is a straight-laced guy. He comes from a rough and tough steel mill background, and just wants to get his work done so he can grow his career. These cracks, though, they reveal that he's flawed, just like every other person on the show. It's just not a flaw that we've seen yet. Most of our characters aren't what we would call aggressive. Charles is to a flaw, and this is where the conflict between he and Jim arise. Charles immediately put Jim in a box because of his first impression.
Why are you wearing a tuxedo?
He thought this dude's lazy, he doesn't take his work seriously, and he really just doesn't know what it takes to succeed. And that's when Charles asked Jim for
I need a rundown of your clients. Can you get that to me?
Sure. What the hell is a rundown?
When did you need that rundown by?
Rundown. Rundown better be really good.
But it sounds like the rundown's really important.
Rundown.
Rundown. There's the rundown you asked for.
A rundown.
Try another sentence.
This whole bit is pretty dumb and I love it. Novak saying on the DVD commentary that he actually came up with this idea for the rundown and was really glad that it made it into the script. So where do we even start with this? If you're in sales, you probably have a decent idea of what Charles was talking about to begin with, but you probably have some questions.
This can't be what he meant, right? I mean, if he wanted a list, he would have just said list.
Well, a rundown would just be a summary of your clients. It probably includes a breakdown of each client by revenue, profit, contract start to end, and a few other data points. It's the probably that is the problem. Jim really should just quit farting around and say the words, "Michael never asked me for this. Can you tell me exactly what your expectations are?" And while that might set him back a little bit in Charles's mind, what it does say to Charles is, "I want to succeed with reason. I don't know what you're asking me for. Help me to be better at my job." But Jim, so eager to please Charles, just refuses to humble himself and be real. The whole plot point is just so much fun exploring these character traits, and it's just real, right? Getting asked to do something that you're not exactly sure what it is a real thing. Just recently, my boss asked me for a work back for a project that I was working on. I instantly thought of this whole rundown thing, so I had to put my money where my mouth is and say, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I don't really know what a work back is." I felt pretty dumb, but my boss was really respectful and great, so that helped with the conversation. It's a two-sided street is what I'm saying. Jim needs to speak up, and Charles needs to listen. Well, you might be screaming, Jim did do that in a deleted scene.
What is the question now?
What's a rundown?
Is this one of your pranks?
Yep. Boom.
Jim did this to himself, and Charles just needs to listen. And also, Jim learned nothing from this entire experience because in the very next episode,
I was going to use today to purge my inbox, but now something much more pressing has come up.
what I can't quite defend is what he has Jim do with the rundown. All of this busy work Jim's been stressing about all day, and just to have the delivery of it be discarded, I've been in that boat too several times.
So my corner's the one with the copier?
Bam, I don't make the rules.
There are 4 corners in this room. Each corner is to be a personal space for each one of you.
But that's just the way it goes in the busy life of a paper company.
These are terrible, boss. You gotta make them in a circle so that they cook evenly.
They're shaped like paper.
Well, I don't even want these.
This thoughts section is gonna go long, and I still have so much more to talk about, so let's change the track to something, more peppy. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so a while ago I said this, but it got me wondering who the best singer from The Office cast is. I'm gonna create a poll later with the best of the best, and then obviously go and vote on your favorite character. Next time there's a musical moment in The Office, I'll talk about those findings. And to be honest, a few more musical moments have passed since I said that.
What I hate about you, you really suck as a ball.
But in my mind, it was always gonna be this moment.
To the place I belong.
So I put out this poll a while ago and I had just shy of 10,000 responses, putting Ed Helms as the best singer in the Office cast, with Craig Robinson and Creed Bratton, an actual singer, second and third place, respectively. As much hate as I see for Andy and Ed Helms out there, you guys came through for them in a big way. And in a chat interview held by the Office Tally site way back in 2009, Rainn Wilson said that he and Helms had practiced this bit only that day of shooting in Helms' trailer. Wilson, being proficient at guitar and the drums, took well to this whole musical bit.
Take me home, country road. Pick it in there.
Sorry if this gets muted, but that song, Take Me Home, Country Roads, is extremely well known, so YouTube's copyright stuff might ding it. We'll see. Helms said in an interview with ET that he was just so happy to be able to play the banjo on screen, which this is the second time we see him play it. But he felt that this instrument didn't really make a lot of sense for the character because, and I quote, "It was so fun and weird, but he's a Connecticut preppy guy. How did he pick up a banjo? It's just one of the many Andy mysteries, not all of which I even understand."
Really? Well, maybe you should look in the smart part of your brain.
But I kind of disagree. I always saw this as Andy's way of differentiating himself from his peers. He's just so desperate for attention, and we find out later why.
I think if I had parents like that, I'd be trying to convince everyone all the time how great I was, too.
But that's why I think the banjo makes perfect sense. Anyway, Wilson proposed that they do a full studio cover of this and release it on iTunes for charity. That was never publicly released, but here, for the very first time ever, I'm gonna play the lost recording. So enjoy.
You have to stop.
Alright guys, Toby says we can't play it, mostly because it doesn't exist, but Wilson did have Helms on his Hello Human show, and they attempted a live Acappella duet of that song.
To the place.
I'll leave the link to the full video in the description, but speaking of Acappella,
Literally every song is better a cappella. Name a song.
I'm a sucker for Acappella music, and I just wanted to see if I could find if any of these really exist.
Literally every song is better a cappella. Name a song.
Cherry Pie, Warren.
Better a cappella.
She's hot cherry pie. Cool drink of water, what a sweet surprise. Tastes so good, make it home and try. Sweet cherry pie.
No.
Really?
Yeah, name another.
Enter Sandman, Metallica.
Better a cappella.
Sleep with one eye open. Gripping your pillow tight.
Rebel Yell, Billy Idol.
Oh, way better a cappella.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Where's the band? Because there's no way you guys are making this magic with just your mouths.
That last one really did remind me of Andy and the Cornell group, but I don't really remember where I heard this. Acapella is a lot like improv. When it works, it's one of the best things ever. When it doesn't work, it's bad and you just feel violated having to sit there and take it. Believe it or not, we have so much more to talk about in this section, so let's change the music again. Let's maybe make it something with a banjo. Yeah. Alright. So this happens.
It's Britney, bitch.
Not only do I love that Michael confuses Lady Gaga for Britney, I assume that's what's going on there, not being able to parallel Park, but also because this cold opening feels like a season premiere's cold opening. As if it was a long break between these episodes and not, you know, like a half an hour. But with the streaming platforms as they are, they try to streamline the process of binging videos. Part of this includes skip the opening credits, or an intro skip button, which can be very tempting as the theme song always seems to be playing about 1,000 decibels louder than the cold opening itself. Anyway, if you're a theme song skipper, then the Michael Scott Paper Company episode has something that you've missed out on your whole life, and that's a custom intro. Breaking it down, we start with the pen paper building and the Scranton shots like normal, then a shot of the lobby board, then Michael leading a conference room meeting with a diversity poster in the background, then a row of clocks set to International Times, which is a bold choice for a regional paper company, a copier, which might have been this one, Michael watering Pam's little plant, remember Planty, he's important, office work with Goldie the goldfish in the background, remember Goldie, he's important, cut into Pam's workspace with a photo of Jim during the job fair episode? Yep, Jim during the job fair episode, World's Best Boss with Goldie again, Pam typing, fire hazard, Ryan working, a couple shots reminding us that this office is really small, and Michael looking bored. Then when the show starts, we set up a whole character introduction.
Okay, I'm gonna call you Kapoor, okay, and you Hannon.
If we're changing names, can I be Aaron? It's my middle name.
Aaron?
Interestingly, in the shooting script for this episode, Kelly's middle name was not Aaron, it was Mary.
Well, you know, my middle name is Rajinigonda, and I hate it. I hate it!
I thought Rajinigonda was a boy's name.
And guys, I love Aaron. I love, love, love Erin. She's wholesome, she's sweet. Her character's relegated for the most part in the series as a female version of Kevin.
The supply forms are gonna be...
I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom.
All over the carpet!
With that, let's dive into the deeper meaning.
What does a bean mean?
Someone please explain it to Cat.
Okay, so the thought section was really long, so let's compensate here, as I think the deeper meaning is written all over the place in this episode. Well, not actually, but it is literally written right here.
Just make that a copy, okay?
This episode looks at people taking a shot at things, starting real simply with,
Yes, Charles, you wanted me.
Oh, no, I meant that, Kelly.
She thinks that if she says, "You wanted me," enough, he will in fact want her. It's not the worst plan she's ever had.
If I was you, I would just like freak out and get really drunk and then tell someone I was pregnant. I hope you're still committed because I'm pregnant.
The whole rundown thing is a look at Jim having to take a shot. The bromance turned competition is about each of these guys taking their shot at Aaron.
You know there's a ghost in this office.
Really?
Dwight is giving me real weird vibes during that, but they did cut Andy's direct attempt.
I heard you know sign language.
I do.
Or are you deaf or something? Just kidding, because you can totally hear me.
And then holistically, Michael's taking a shot with the whole Michael Scott Paper Company thing.
I should go and start my own paper company. That'll show him.
And I love that you can see established 2009 on that sign, but Wayne Gretzky's famous quote is not just here for the bit, it sums up the message of this entire episode. Business, like most things in life, is not normally going to feel like a fairy tale. Instead, it's going to feel a lot like a paper company holding a pancake luncheon in a corporate park's parking lot in the middle of an afternoon. Pam's big leap of faith is being rewarded with having to deal with Michael's Michaelisms and Ryan's millennialisms.
And enough with the texting machine. Come on. Tuck in your shirt. You're the face of this company.
But they take their shot and they win a sale.
Because your satisfaction is our guarantee. We guarantee it.
So the message here is that if you want something in life, but fail to take your shot, you're gonna for sure miss it.
But we have people with the biggest hearts. And I think for a small company, that is real.
So with that, let's rate this thing.
This is the worst.
Sometimes people criticize me because I'll talk about an episode for a really long time and have a lot of great things to say about it, and then I kind of rip it to shred. But before we get there, if you could give this video a like and a subscribe, that'd be great. It helps me out a ton. So the cold opening. As far as cold openings go, this one I feel like is not a lot to write home to mom about on the surface. Michael's cruiser bit is great. I still don't quite understand how he still has this vehicle since it's a corporate lease and all.
That timeline's messy.
And then I feel like the rest is fine-ish. But if we include the theme song here, then I'm giving this a 5 out of 5. It's genius. It's a very, very good way to recaptivate the park's premiere viewers into this show's universe and storylines. As for the episode itself, this one had so much stuff to talk about. I really wanted to even make a rundown edit using some action movie from the time, but time just didn't allow. Unless...
You have to stop.
Right, okay, so time didn't allow. Thanks again, Toby. So many things to talk about in this episode, and I love this one. So I'm doing it. I don't have anything negative to say about this episode at all. It's an incredible use of time, so that goes both to the credit of the writing, the director, and the editor. So for some reason this feels really weird, but I cannot help but give this one a 5 out of 5. It's a great episode of The Office, and there's more Michael Scott Paper Company drama to come next week. We're going to be looking at the showdown between the Michael Scott Paper Company and Dunder Mifflin. So if you're still around, check us out on our socials and check out our new channel memberships. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned to the mini reviews, and we'll see you next time.